You are listening to episode 66 of the Unnecessary Nonsense podcast. I talk about having a gigantic computer lighting my face that is like staring into the sun. Dave talks about pretentious cross-country running because someone clamored for that segment. And by someone, I mean no one. And we probably find an excuse to use the Rob Manfred meme. I talk about hashtag content creator problems and other random crap that we probably come up with on the fly. That'll be this episode of the Unnecessary Nonsense podcast. So yes, episode 66. I am Carlos. That is Dave. Our names are on the screen. But if you listen to audio only, now you know. Hey, Dave.
Go. Hello, Carlos. How are you, sir?
I am staring into the sun, Dave. I'm staring into the sun.
I was so curious as to why you were using a different camera angle. You know, usually it's around the corner kind of thing. And so we get some nice view of your stairs now, which is great. And you are probably 1,000 times brighter than you've ever been before.
Yes. I am. I'm basically pulling a Sammy Sosa and making myself ever lighter. It is because I'm staring at pure white light.
That is a good reference.
Yeah,
I like that.
Listen, you know I got the references.
It's true. You do.
At any time. You're never ready. And that's the key.
That's the best part.
Yeah, exactly. No, but we're definitely going to have a couple of things. So let's start off with this. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what happened your week? Probably nothing interesting, but then I'll tell you about hashtag content creator problems because I had some fun with this.
I played golf this week and shot 19 strokes less than I did the previous time I played the course. So that's a thing.
So does that mean that you got better? Or does that mean that you were really trash before?
I think it means that I was really trash before.
Probably.
But I also did something that I'd never done before. I hit par on 2 holes on a course, which I've never done before. I've
never done that before?
Not on 2 holes. On 1 hole, yes. Okay. But on 2, no.
It's funny because golf really is. Here's the thing. I love golf, but I've always had one major problem with golf. Generally speaking, I either don't have the time or I don't have the money. I tend to not have the two things at the same time. So when I had the money, I didn't have the time. And when I had the time, I didn't have the money.
Yeah. Because
golf is not a cheap sport. It's kind of expensive. And I have a beautifully expensive set of golf clubs upstairs that are dying of neglect for the last couple of years. But when I played, I was never good, but I was able to get around. But I found that I had 2 different periods in my game. One where I could make their approach shots and my short game was solid. And then another one where my drives were solid. Again, they don't tend to come together at the same time. So I can either hit a 300-yard drive or slice it for miles. And then my short game and my mid-range game is fine.
Yeah, that's golf.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so you did some golfing. What else?
Not much. I got tested for COVID because, protocols.
Yeah, I've often said you're diseased. Please continue.
But, I came back negative. So, which was expected.
For that particular
protocols.
Ailment. For that particular ailment. But did they check for other stuff? Scurvy?
No.
Did they check?
I don't think so. They might have. I mean, I don't really know. You just do the swab and you leave. I'm only in there for about 10 seconds, so I don't really know what they did with it.
So then maybe there's a part 2. It's like, good news, Turnbull. You don't have COVID. What? But you do have scurvy.
It's quite possible.
It's like, how? It's like, I can't explain it. I can't help you with that.
Pirate times, man. Pirate times.
Yeah, it was the pirate life for Dave. Good job. All right, fair enough.
And as we previously discussed off air, the cat's at the vet, but he should be coming back on Monday. So that's good news. He was pretty sick, but the meds have sort of kicked in. He's eating again, so all good on that front as well.
Yeah, the cat also had scurvy. There's something going on in that house.
It's possible too. I don't know if that shows up in blood work or not, but pancreatitis, scurvy, whatever, same diff, right?
Dude, like it could be related. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV, and I don't even play one on the internet, so I can't help you. No, as far as I'm concerned, all of it's scurvy.
So your message is get your vitamin C, people. Get your vitamin C.
I'm a big proponent of vitamin C. I think vitamin C is fantastic. But on a related note, I feel like our shtick could be like everything's scurvy, the same way that house, everything was lupus. Until it turns out nothing was ever lupus. Except for that one time it was lupus.
Where it actually was.
Yeah, just that one time.
I'm glad you threw in a house reference because you were the closest person that most people will ever meet to house.
And I literally gave that to my old boss's boss as an explanation, just as a shortcut to be like, so you ever seen the show House? By the way, I'm being serious. This is a real conversation I had with my senior director at my old job. I said, okay, so just to streamline this and make it easy, you ever seen like the House? And she's like, yeah. And I go, so I'm House. And she goes, with the Vicodin? And it's like, no, minus the Vicodin addiction. Minus the Vicodin addiction, I'm basically House.
I love how she brought that up though.
Well, at least she got the reference. That's the important part.
You know, and honestly, people, if you know Carlos, that is pretty much the best comparison that you can possibly get.
Minus the Vicodin addiction.
Of course, minus the Vicodin addiction. I mean, there's still time though, Carlos.
Well, I've already got caffeinated drinks as an addiction, Dave. Like I don't have enough hours in the day for multiple addictions here.
Why don't you trade one for the other? Just for, a few days. Just be like,
settle down.
I live the house dream.
Settle down. Settle down. I don't need to live the house dream. House led my dream. He ripped me off. I was doing this shit before it was cool. Okay? That's all I'm saying.
All right. I'll give it to you.
Anyway, so my week was pretty straightforward, nothing crazy, but I got a little story that I want to share with you. So this is under the hashtag creator content problems. So I actually last night, I was a little under the weather. I wasn't feeling good. I'm still a little off today, but I feel a little better. But I decided I was going to create a video and for my YouTube channel. And I had a great idea and I had a concept and I had this guy who makes these dumb videos on YouTube. And normally I ignore him, but he did something egregious and stupid. And as is my way, I'm like, all right, I'm going to tear into this fool. Because now is my moment. So since you've decided to leave this wide open, I'm going to tear into you. So I went in and I had my new computer and everything. I was like, oh, I got my whole fancy setup. And I went into StreamYard to go and create because I wanted to do a screen share and I wanted to show video clips of some of his videos and then tear into them. I was going to do like a, Mystery Science Theater 3000. I was going to absolutely tear into it as I watched the video. Yeah. So I did it. And it was a 44-minute magnum opus, Dave. I had a beautiful video where I tore into this guy solidly and beautifully. I was very pleased with it. I ended the broadcast because I recorded it offline. I download the file and to go put it in the video editor. I've got everything set up. We're all good. This machine is running like a dream. I'm ready to go. I put it in. It looks and sounds pretty good for a couple minutes. And then the video goes to crap and the audio goes to absolute crap. I did it on my Wi-Fi. I didn't have this computer hardwired. So my video and audio just degraded. I could barely hear what the video I was referring to is. I could barely hear my own audio. It sounded like absolute garbage. 44 minutes and then additional time, me transferring everything. So maybe an hour and a half of time. Absolutely down the drain. Trashed. The video's gone. Well, I've got the video, but it's worthless.
That sucks, man.
It was absolute trash.
So there's not going to be a take two?
Oh, there is going to be a take two, but it's going to be speaking of references, I'm probably going to be like off the top. I can pretty much tell you right now, my reference is going to be like, so, and do any of you know Tenacious D, the band, the Jackback comedy band? One of my favorite songs from them is Tribute. And did you know what the premise was of the tribute song?
No, I know Tenacious D, but I don't know the song.
So the premise of the tribute song that they're singing in the song is that they came across a demon and the demon was going to take their souls. But in order to defeat the demon, they sang the greatest song in the world. But when they make very clear is that this is not the greatest song in the world, the one you're hearing. This is a tribute to the greatest song in the world because apparently they can't replicate the greatest song in the world. They did it once, but that was it. So this video is going to be my tribute to my beautiful magnum opus rant video. You're just going to have to believe me. It was gold, and we will never now know.
That's unfortunate, Carlos. I feel we've all been deprived of something there.
You got like I tore into him so good. Dave, you know how well I can tear into someone. And as we talked offline, no one is off limits. No one is safe. There is no one that I would not trash if I feel it's appropriate.
This is true.
And it's like now redoing it, it's like, well, I'm not going to have, I'm still going to have my snark. I'm still going to have my sarcasm. I'm still going to have all my usual stuff. But it's like it loses something when I know I already did this.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And I did it with my full energy, my full power. I brought everything to it. It's like, well, now I just feel like I'm just, doing an imitation of myself. It's like, oh, man. Yeah, I'm going to have to probably come up with new jokes and stuff. And it's like, oh, there's so many good ones.
Very unfortunate.
This is true. These are hashtag content creator problems, Dave. So the lesson here is if you're going to do any kind of a streaming anything, hardwire the damn machine. Just hardwire it because you cannot rely on Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is not your friend.
No, it is not. I mean, It is, but not for that kind of thing.
No. And the thing is, if you just need the internet, the sad part is that my Wi-Fi is okay, but it's inconsistent. Like it'll be good for a couple of minutes, and then some interference will come in or something, and then it'll dip temporarily. It'll come back.
Now, is that because you live in a complex, or is that? And are there other factors at play there?
A little bit of that, a little bit of the fact it's cable, which means it oscillates a fair bit. But here's the thing: when you hardwire it, it stays pretty consistent. So it's really a matter of like the atmosphere. So right now, I ordered from Amazon a cable to hardwire this machine because it's, as Dave points out, I'm in a different angle. So I'm actually a couple of feet further away than I usually am because this machine allows me to do that on the second desk. But the problem
it also might melt you if you're any closer to the monitor.
Oh yeah, for sure. But the other thing it also does is that it means it's about, so the other Ethernet cable I had was 25 feet, which it basically reaches just about to that desk. So if I reach out with my arm, like it barely reaches that one. So I needed like another couple. So I ended up getting a 50-foot cable.
Okay.
But in reality, I'm about 35 feet away from my router. So the problem is you've got, and I'm not going to get too technical, but I'll give everybody like a short, like technical lesson. Wi-Fi usually runs on a couple of frequencies. One is like 2.4 hertz or 2.4 gigahertz, and the other one's like 5 gigahertz. 5 gigahertz tends to be faster, but it's also it also doesn't like distance, and it also doesn't like having things around it. So like there's a wall there, and you can go around the wall. Well, the signal is not going to go through the wall. The signal is kind of coming around the wall, so it means it's not a direct line of sight.
Right.
So it's actually a little bit weaker. Also, the distance. If I was physically closer, it would be better. But
Right.
The more reliable one is 2.4 gigahertz. But the problem is it's also weaker
Right.
generally as a signal. And it
Right.
also is the signal that almost everybody else in the complex will use for the router, which means any interference from them will also mess with you.
Right. And just for those of you who listening, really, there's Carlos is like gesturing and stuff, but really, you lose nothing by getting the video, not getting
No.
the video. So don't
No,
worry.
you get a lot of pointing, and occasionally, like I said, I'll make obscene gestures to Dave, and that's about it.
So,
Yeah.
but at least you got it figured out. So that's good.
Oh, figure it out, meaning connect the 50-foot wire to it. But yeah, that tends to be the solution that works the best. But anyway, other than that, like work and everything was pretty normal because we just came off the holiday. So I think more folks are still on vacation this week. So we're going to see. But like I will say this week was the first time that I actually felt like, yep, we're in fall now. Because you can feel because like you can see I'm wearing not just the shirt anymore. I'm wearing like I'm wearing a little bit of a I'm wearing a little bit of a sweater hoodie thing. Because this is the first time I can say it started to feel a little bit like fall. I don't mind too much. The intermediate, this is the thing about Canada. We never get the good weather for any stretch of time. We'll get like humid and hot. We'll get like 5 minutes of like sunny and nice. And then we'll get like a little bit of fall where it's like, it's actually not too bad. You can wear a light sweater or something.
Which I quite like. It just doesn't last long enough.
Exactly. And then it'll be like, okay, so now we're going to minus 40.
Yeah. Like that's the thing, right? Fall officially goes from, the end of September until like mid-December, right? On the calendar. We get fall basically from like early September sometimes, mid-September, early September till, if you're lucky, Halloween.
Yeah. And that's on a good year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's always something around here. I'm waiting for the the Godzilla attack. I'm waiting for the hurricanes, typhoons, and then that'll be Monday, and then we'll go to Tuesday.
Perfect.
So it's always something. Anyway, so let's have a little chat about. Let's have a little brief. Actually, you know what? Let's do the Pretentious cross country running report. And even though this is not appropriate, I don't care. The sound effect still works. So there you go. There's the official.
And you got the Rob Manfred in there, so at least we've got it in this week.
Yeah,
maybe one day we'll have a video for the Pretentious cross country running report, Carlos.
You realize I actually have to make a video for that.
I do.
Yeah.
So here's my thing. This week's report is kind of dumb, but I was like, what is the point of this? So basically this is literally an excuse for clickbait. So the team I follow in England, Arsenal, their head coach since last December, I think that's when the other guy got fired and he came in, has been Mikel Arteta, former player, former Manchester City assistant coach. He's been the head coach. And it's like all these headlines start coming up that say, Mikel Arteta is no longer the head coach of Arsenal. And I was like, what? Like that, obviously, I'm like, this is not right. There's no way they fire this guy. And it's like, so I click on, and some of these are, reputable newspapers from the UK that I'm seeing. So I click on the site.
He got promoted or something?
No, he just changed his title to first team manager. And I was like, seriously?
Do his responsibilities change in any way?
Slightly, but it's like, really? Like, this is the thing. This is actually a story. Literally, it's like someone from the team was like, let's get our people in the newspaper by changing his title so people can, be like, oh my God, we fired him. But really, we didn't. I was like, that's really dumb, guys. Really dumb.
Nice. So As that was Pretentious Crouch LT running, and no one cares. Let me transfer that though. I can actually play off of that. I'll work with it, Dave. I'll work with it. But let me take it quickly into a story. So one of my favorite things when my old job was that for the longest time they made tons of money in the industry they were in. They never lacked for making money, but they didn't like to actually pay employees unless they recruited you. If you came from somewhere else, then they probably pay you, at least for the first round. Or if you shifted departments entirely, there was a shot where maybe that department would recruit you and then you could make some money that way. But if you worked in the same department, you would be like, yeah, we'll give you raises. Literal raises would be like 1%. And that was a good raise in a year. That was a good raise. So if you started off low, the 1% doesn't mean a heck of a lot. But anyway, it became kind of a running joke after a while because whenever they would give you and shift you up a level, they would have to change your job title, even if you literally did the exact same job. And for 3.5 years, I did the exact same job and had 6 different job titles. 6 different job titles for the same job. Now, did my salary move around a little bit as I shifted levels? Yep, it did. But it's not like it moved exponentially. In 3.5 years, it moved about 24%, but that's because I started at a really low salary at the beginning. Mm-hmm. And by the time I was done, I was still well under market value, but they had also shifted my job title 6 times to accommodate this because HR apparently needed it. It was bizarre. I'd be getting all these different titles. And after a while, I would get confused what my title was. I'd be like, look, my title is whatever it says in my email signature because I don't remember. I don't remember what it says in the org chart anymore. I don't know. I don't care. I'm doing the same job. But I told them, it's like, do you need to change my job title again? They're like, well, yeah, we kind of do. Great. Can I propose a job title? Sure. Can I be executive vice president of fixing shit? Because that's what I do. It's like, you might as well just put that in the title. It means nothing, but just put it in the title. That is my title. It'd
be a good title.
Yeah, it's like I'd like to have it. I'd like to be executive vice president of fixing shit because that's what I do. Yeah, and funny enough, I still do that in my new job elsewhere, but it's the same. It's another title. It's just another version of the same thing. In fact, in this case, I don't remember what my title is here either. As I do, I'm like, I do whatever it is I do. I forget.
Yeah,
I'll show up. I show up so I don't get fined. But anyway.
Exactly. I think we all do at some point.
Exactly. All right. So let's talk about my favorite topic, the sports card market report, if you will, for this week, because it's been nuts. It's been pretty crazy. And then we'll play off of that a little bit into talking about some football stuff. So we'll talk about that. But first, I got to show you this. So I'll share the screen with everybody, and then we'll talk through it a little bit, and then we'll give a little bit of context, and we'll play into it. So let's do that. Cool. Look at that.
Okay. So what Carlos has brought up, just for you, is a picture of this is a completed eBay auction. Yes,
this is completed. 41 bids.
Okay, so 2020 Donruss Clyde Edwards-Helaire rated rookie red press proof. All right, card. And in case anyone who's wondering who he is a rookie, obviously, running back who plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, and I would say I wouldn't say he wasn't obviously like the number 1 pick, but a fairly highly rated rookie with a lot of potential.
He was actually the last pick in the first round. He was 32nd overall.
Right. So first round pick. Mm-hmm. He has done one thing in the NFL. He played a game, and he had a really good game. He had 138 yards and a touchdown, which for your NFL debut is quite good in a game that Kansas City won. And
it was a high profile. It was a high profile first game of the season.
Yeah, right. It was a Thursday nighter against a division rival in Houston, and the only game on TV that night. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's important context. Mm-hmm. I'll let you say the numbers, Carlos.
So this one, this was an auction. So there's one thing that is a distinction that I like to make is if somebody puts in a best offer and then they put it in there, then you have to take it with a grain of salt, not because it's not necessarily legitimate, but you have to factor in that somebody's starting it off at whatever price. And there could always be some shady business with somebody making an offer of whatever, because eBay doesn't care about making sure that something is actually paid. But something that tends to be a regular auction usually is okay, especially if there's enough bidders where it looks like the bidding pattern makes some kind of sense. So this one completed with 41 bids. So we got a lot of bids, a lot of bid action on it. And the end result of this one was $320 US or approximately $422 Canadian for a card out of what traditionally is a very cheap product. Donruss is a product that, and I used the example the day before, when we went to Cleveland for his bachelor party, because who goes to Cleveland for a bachelor party? Apparently someone on the screen here.
Hey man, Hofbrauhaus was a good time.
Yeah, but while we were there, one of the boxes that I got at Target, the high rent retailer Target, but was Donruss football, because Donruss football is fun to open. I enjoy Donruss football for what it is. I get a kick out of it. But this is the 2020 version, and even the retail prices and things have been going up, which has been nuts. And I'll actually share with you a story of one right after we get to this. But the point is, this is still a fairly common card. This is the red press proof, which is a little bit more limited, but not like a rare card by any stretch of the imagination. And yes, it's a great performance. The red accents the uniform beautifully. Like it's an aesthetically pleasing card. It's a cool looking card.
I would also like to point out before you give the number, there may not have even been time to do it, but this is an ungraded card. Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, so ungraded that the picture that the seller has put up has their hand holding the card.
Yes. Of course, you got to have the holding with the thumb in the picture card, Dave.
All right.
That's how you know it's real.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, but yeah, the end result of this was, and the thing is, I don't mind it because it shows that somebody literally took a picture with their phone. Honestly, that's probably what happened here. They took a picture with their phone. And Dave, now you know how little it takes. It doesn't have to be a fancy picture. It can be you holding it while taking a picture with your phone. But anyway, $320 US, 422 Canadian. Your thoughts, Dave?
As I said multiple times, this is madness on a level that, I keep thinking we won't see again, but then, next week we see it again. This guy has had one game under his belt. That's it. And it was a very good game. He had a very good performance. He may continue to do so. Who knows what he's going to be in his career? This could turn out to be the person who bought this for $320. Was that what he said? Or
$320 US.
Yeah. The person who bought that for $320, may have got it for a steal when all is said and done. But based on track record of the player, how does this go? I mean, I don't know what it was on Wednesday, but this is ridiculous for someone who's played one NFL game.
But Dave, he's on pace to get like 1,800 yards.
Right. And maybe he does. And maybe he wins Rookie of the Year. Who knows? Right. Maybe he should have gotten a lot higher than 32nd, the last pick of the first round. We don't know, Carlos.
For running back, no. In all honesty, even if you have a great running back, like jokes aside, even if you have a great running back, this isn't fantasy football. You don't draft a running back like super high. Even if they're generational, like that position, just talking in all seriousness, that position is so prone to injury. You could be a legitimately great back who gets hurt and then you're done.
Correct. That's quite possible.
Think of who the most dominant backs we can think of are. Some of them have lasted for a stretch of time. Like Adrian Peterson in his prime was dominant. Like he was scary good.
But the drop off, right? How quickly the drop off came it came quite quickly.
But I will say to you, he had 800 yards last year and 1,000 yards before, and technically he's already past his prime as a running back. So as a back who is a power back who will basically run into a wall over and over again, he has already exceeded his lifespan as a running back. He's unusual.
Fumbled multiple times in an NFC Championship game.
Yeah, but he's unusual in the sense of actually still being around. He actually should have been retired 5 years ago. By normal running back standards.
The shelf life for a running back is very short in the NFL.
Absolutely. But think about the other example that I'll use about a guy who was dominant in a short, time frame, and the potential was there. Bo Jackson. And Bo Jackson was a physical specimen. He was a freak. And it was a hip injury that did him in. He got tackled from behind because he was running away from everybody. He was about to run for probably another touchdown because when he was on his game, almost nobody could stop him tackling him head on. You had to try to tackle him from the side or from behind to try to get him. And It turned out that caused a catastrophic injury that basically ended his football career.
But he will live on forever in Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah, but it tells you that somebody who's that kind of a freak athlete, what do you think a Bo Jackson would have done had he been allowed to live the normal lifespan without like a freak injury doing him in?
Exactly.
And there's nothing he could do. He didn't see the tackle. So it's not like he did anything wrong. He was running, and he probably hurt himself worse because he was running so fast because he was just so fast.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So that right there is the nature of the beast. You could be legitimately great, and this position has a short lifespan.
Correct.
So I wouldn't put a lot of money in a running back. Like it's tough. So this person, I don't see a scenario where they will feel good about this in the long run, even if he is great.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I don't know, obviously, but I'll tell you, there's no way in hell I'm spending that much money on a card. I would happily sell this card for that, or half of that. But I'm not buying one.
Yeah. No, we'll see. We'll see. Like I've definitely seen some other sales completed for this card, and they're not nearly as crazy. This one's definitely an outlier. But let's segue that over into. I will talk about sports cards a little bit more in a little bit because I do have some more thoughts on this. But let me stop sharing the screen first. Okay. But the key here, and I want to use him as an example because he's a good case because of the first game and how well he played. One thing that we all have to factor in, this is not just about cards. This is about this year in particular. So if you have a fantasy football team, if you got whatever, the Kansas City Chiefs actually look really good on offense, but Patrick Mahomes wasn't exactly 100% sharp. However, tells you something considering how dominant they were able to be, that he wasn't on his A game and they were still able to roll over the Texans. But the reality is the Texans look kind of the way that I expect most teams to look this season for the first couple of weeks, especially. There was no training camp, really, for most of these teams. Like not real.
Well, I
training
mean,
camp
there was
season.
training camp, but there was no preseason game, so nobody's got any game.
But
nobody's taken a real hit in a long time.
Not a real training camp, Dave. Like there were sections of that training camp that were virtual only. Like
to the
they
point
were
where you would normally be,
Yes.
what they'd be normally doing. Yes.
Yeah, they at least for the training camp piece, they'd at least be in physical proximity for that whole time. Part of it was virtual this time around.
Yes,
now they
correct.
did eventually get together to do a little bit of a training camp, but then you run from a training camp that's already been truncated, that's already been like less contact than normal. Tackling is, I expect in week 1, tackling will be bad. There will be some bad tackling on display. So there will be some teams who will absolutely look completely out of sync and out of sorts. And there may be some defenses who may be able to dominate for some of these games early, simply because the offense isn't in sync. The receivers don't have timing with the quarterback. The running back can't find the holes because the line isn't ready. Things like that. Kansas City is at least a well-coached team that already won the Super Bowl last year. So they're able to kind of fall back into certain patterns that will help them. So They were able to look good early. And they brought in a running back who looks good, which is just another weapon in the sea of weapons that they've got over there in Kansas City right now. Totally. So you have to like Kansas City, what you saw, considering they did not bring their A game, but they still were dominant in victory.
Absolutely.
So that's just a general thing that I would that I would bring to everybody's attention. Just consider that, because that's a real thing as far as I'm concerned. And that will, I think, have some influence on what this season looks like, at least for the early portion, by maybe about the 4th or 5th game. Again, we're assuming they play a full season, assuming they do. But maybe about the 4th or 5th week, some of these teams will actually start looking like proper football teams. We might see some proper tackling and stuff like that. Maybe. But then it's going to look like week 1 normally. So think about that. That's a scary proposition.
Yeah.
So it's like, it might be kind of ugly, but it's something, I suppose.
Yeah. And it was weird. It was also weird watching it it was almost weirder watching a game with, a smattering of fans allowed in, as opposed to a game with no fans at all.
I suppose. Again, me, I don't listen with the sound on. I don't really care. But yeah, no, I can imagine. Now, mind you, at Arrowhead, they're pretty loud at Arrowhead.
Yeah.
Especially for a small crowd. They probably did all right. Because I was listening to pieces, but they seemed to be all right when the team was obviously doing well. They were getting into it for what it was. So we'll see how these different teams respond to it. But let's talk about one game in particular. You know what the highlight game is of the weekend, don't you?
The Raiders?
No.
The Packers?
No. The one that everyone's
the future GOAT, Jameis Winston?
Yes, future GOAT Jameis Winston taking on Tampa Bay.
Can I just tell you literally that right now, okay? This conversation could be entirely different on Monday. Mm-hmm. But right now, Tampa Bay is like one of the most overhyped teams in NFL history.
Yes, correct.
Right? Like, and that's what it bugs me more than it probably would have normally, because they're in the same division as the Saints. Mm-hmm. But they haven't done anything, right? Do they have some good players? Absolutely they do, right? But it's like, Brady is on the decline, right? He's obviously still for you, Carlos, I'll say he's still a serviceable quarterback.
Maybe
right?
like in the CFL, but
Wow, that's
fine.
true. But
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, but he's also playing in the things where it's something. What was it? Just it's like something like three. There's only been three other people who've played at the age that he's playing that have actually thrown a pass in the NFL,
Yeah, it's got to be a small list
right?
because this
And
is a different era.
nobody has done anything of note at that age. Now we'll see. Obviously, Brady's in good shape, right? But it's also like, yeah, but he's got Gronk, and it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
Bill
but
Gronk was
Gronk
broken
hasn't.
down.
Yeah, Gronk was breaking down. That's why he stopped playing,
Mhm.
and he hasn't played for a year.
Yeah.
So if you're expecting like the Gronk of old, I think you're going to be sadly disappointed. Plus, I feel also this will be a season where we'll see how much of an evil genius Bill Belichick really is, because he was the one. Now, granted, Gronk wasn't probably coming back anyway to New England in any kind of form, but they had his rights, right? So that was a trade that they made. So Bill Belichick did not want Gronk back, and he did not want Brady back. So I mean, we'll see what happens, right? They put them in a Tampa Bay team that has some really good pieces. Obviously with Mike Evans and is it Charles Godwin? They're two receivers. I know his last name's Godwin, but I can't remember his first name.
I'll look it up.
They've got.
Isn't it Chris Goodwin?
Sorry,
or
yes,
Chris Godwin.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Right. So they've got two really amazing receivers. Mike Evans is not going to play. He's got a hamstring issue.
Chris Godwin.
Yeah. So Mike Evans isn't going to play on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then, they got Leonard Fournette in at running back. We'll see. Their defense is still pretty good. They've got a good some defense. They haven't had a lot of time, obviously, to gel on offense. We'll see what happens. But I just think all the I was talking to my brother about this today, and really, I feel, and we both feel, they're probably at best a 10-6, 9-7 team.
I definitely feel like they're an 8-8 team.
Actually, or are you just saying that because you hate Tom Brady?
Here's the thing: I really want to see what happens. I remember what I said a few minutes ago about timing and rhythm and everything. Tom Brady, if he's going to be successful, is entirely reliant on timing and rhythm. The reason why he was whining the last year in New England, was that the receivers weren't quite in sync with him as far as timing and rhythm are concerned. And his game entirely depends on it. He's not going to throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. He has to throw the ball with timing where the receiver has to be where he expects them to be at the moment that he expects them to be there. He has receivers who have the talent to do that, but the rest of the teams have got to know that, and they've got to defend them accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
Because do the receivers have the capability? Yeah. For all of Jameis Winston's flaws, he can at least throw the football. He can throw it a lot harder than Tom Brady can at this stage in the game, especially. Tom Brady was never a guy who had a fastball. Brett Favre had a fastball. There were some quarterbacks who have that. Dan Marino had a quick release. Tom Brady is fundamentally sound. Can he throw a good ball? Yes, he can. But he relies on that timing. The timing has to be precise. Well, they had a truncated training camp. Did they have the ability to ingrain that timing? While Bruce Arians is an offensively minded coach, was he able to instill the discipline in the offensive side of the ball to get them to sync up? Because we're not bringing the New England playbook in. They don't have it's too complicated. There are too many plays. Tom Brady knows it inside and out. He knows it cold, but it's also a different set of personnel. You've completely swapped out the personnel. Yeah, you got Gronk, but everything else is different. And Gronk has to learn new plays too. Gronk might have the timing down with Brady, but again, to your point, he was away for a year. He hasn't taken any real hits in a year. The importance of taking hits cannot be overstated. Once you stop taking hits for a while, it actually causes you a bit of a problem when you have to start taking hits again.
Yeah.
It messes with you. So the question is, can he accept that? Is he okay with that? Because again, they had no preseason games. They had no tune-ups. They're going straight to like regular season football against, Jameis Winston backup Drew Brees and a New Orleans Saints team that at least has some kind of a sync,
Yeah. Right. I mean, when you look at it in terms of who's brought in new players, right? New Orleans has brought in a couple of, I would say, key pieces on offense, especially with Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah. But there's a lot more cohesion. At least
right?
The rest of the players
that team is, the core of that team has been together for about, I think this is their fourth season, right? Yeah. Together, the core of that team. So, New Orleans should, because, I never underestimate the power of New Orleans to let me down. But New Orleans should win this game and should win it fairly easily. Right?
The important thing that we need to note from this is Dave, your team has one job. This is your Ottawa Senators moment, Dave. Do not let us down right now. We need this as a people. Tom Brady is 1,000 times worse than Sidney Crosby. Sidney Crosby's annoying, but at least he's uninteresting. He's off in a boat somewhere, okay? He's off in a boat. But Tampa Bay has been in our face this entire time. No one wants it. No one needs it. You need to crush this fool. I need to see this man bleed, Dave. I need to see him bleeding on the ground. I need him carried away off on a stretcher. And I don't care if Jameis Winston has to throw Drew Brees out and do it himself. I don't care what has to happen. Somebody's got to take care of this business.
Fair enough, man.
This is the one time that the whole who dat going to beat them. It better not be Tampa Bay is all I'm saying to you. It better not be. It's everyone else, but it better not be Tampa Bay. I don't care if you go 1-15. You need this one, Dave. You need this one.
No, fair enough. How about 2? Because we play them twice, right?
Whatever. Fine. Great. But
it's in New Orleans. I mean, there's not going to be any fans in the stands for this game, but it's in New Orleans. So, you know what I mean? You're on your field. You don't have to, it's turf. It's not grass. Because I'm pretty sure Tampa's field is grass.
I believe so, yeah.
You're right. So you don't have to worry about that. So there really should be no excuses for New Orleans doing quite well.
Yeah.
I expect to win here, but I expect to win.
But that's the thing. It is the expectation because it's like, well, your team hasn't had to whip together an offense for a completely different quarterback with a completely different set of skills and a completely different playbook in their head. That should be an advantage. And you've got Michael Thomas. That should be an advantage. You've got coordination between him and Drew Brees. That should be an advantage.
And Alvin Kamara should be in a good mood because he signed a new contract today. He's got
that should be an advantage. That should be all of these things together should be a huge advantage because you shouldn't be figuring out how to make this work. And you've had the same, coach quarterback combo for years. You've got that combination.
Yep.
They should know what they're trying to do out there. They should have a plan. One would think.
Absolutely. You would think. So we shall see Sunday, 4:25.
Yeah. But I think that's going to be the highlight game of the week, to be honest with you. I think a lot of eyeballs are going to be in on that game.
Well, it should be the Sunday night football game, really.
Probably. Yeah.
But the LA's got it because of the new stadium.
Yeah, but I think this works out okay because usually that 4:00 time slot doesn't really have a premium matchup.
Yeah, so it'll be if it's on Fox, it'll be America's Game of the Week, and Joe Buck will be doing it. So,
is it loud, Dave?
Please, Joe Buck, say that. There's no fans, but Joe, there aren't any fans in here. It's still loud because I'm loud.
Yeah, basically that boy. That's where Aikman turns and slaps him. Just open hand, just slaps him. It's like, was that loud?
Just for the record, in case nobody knows what we're talking about, Joe Buck. I like Joe Buck. I like him better as a baseball announcer, to be honest. But I like Joe Buck as an announcer. Mm-hmm. But he has a propensity, especially when calling football games, to talk about how loud it is right at the beginning of the game. If you've watched a lot of Joe Buck, it's quite a common occurrence for him to be like, "It's loud."
Yeah.
So, just
I'm waiting for the Trackman slap. It's coming. Open hand, right across.
That'd be entertaining.
In the empty stadium, it'll resonate. You hear the sound of the
What was
slap.
that sound?
It's it'll just echo all the way around the stadium. It's
just do it while Brady's on offense, please.
Yeah, but listen, if that's what ends up happening, you're gonna get a phone call from me and I go, Dave, that slap was loud.
And I will answer that call anytime.
As you should. Anyway, so yeah, it's all good. But you see? We were able to use a sports card and lead that into that is the closest thing you're going to get to analysis from us. We actually talked about a sports thing.
There you go.
We did. It happened.
And we threw in some unnecessary nonsense because that's what we do.
Just think about that. Think about out of all the things that you could have been expecting, Dave, we did an analysis thing. Appropriate.
Yeah. That's really never going to not be appropriate. So.
No, there are times it's not appropriate, but that one appropriate. Very appropriate. 100% appropriate.
So we're going to move on?
Yes, we are.
Are we going to talk sports cards more, or are you going to tell me about why that banner is still hanging behind you?
Oh, well, yeah, we can. Well, I think we can talk about sports cards a little bit. I'll lead into it. I did buy Alexander Radulov autographed patch card, so that'll be forthcoming.
Are they playing Are they playing right now as we record?
They are. Yes, they are.
I thought so.
Yeah, because I believe the game started officially. Well, it should technically be. Wait, hold on. Nope. Let me correct myself.
It's an 8:00 start. They haven't started playing yet.
Yeah, they haven't started playing yet officially yet.
Dallas is up 2-1 in the series, Carlos. How are you feeling about your Stars?
About the same. I'm surprised by the result, but like I mentioned to Dave offline, the game 3 performance was basically like we owe Carlos this special. He's like, we're doing it for Carlos because I got the combination. I got Jamie Oleksiak scoring at the end of the first period. In the, Jamie, this team tried to trade me away a couple of times, Oleksiak. So of course he scores the first goal. Second goal is scored by Jamie. He's still the captain, believe it or not, Ben. Thank God. And then the overtime winner is scored within a minute of the overtime by Alex. We needed a token Russian and we don't have Sergei Zubov. Radulov.
There you go, right?
So I got my three boys all in one shot. The 3 goals for Dallas all came. That's why what I thought was great about it was the fact that it happened to be those 3 people. Like literally those 3 people. I'm like, hey man, we did it, you guys. We did it. I wanted to pull out the mission accomplished banner.
I feel that would have been appropriate.
Yeah, I was like, I was trying to get it on the cheap. I was trying. I was giving it a go. But yeah, no, it's been good. It's been good. I will say that one thing that has definitely stood out for me is that I've been shocked that Vegas has been struggling a little bit to put it together. It's been kind of very surprising. It really has been.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I guess that's what it is. But listen, I'll take advantage of it. What I don't know is I don't know what I would do. It's one thing to get up in the series. It's another thing. Like obviously tonight they've got a shot at getting up 3-1 and having a stranglehold, but they were up 3-1 in Colorado. And Colorado was able to storm back to force the game 7. So I'm not going to count Vegas out until basically it's done. If it's done, it's done. But We'll see. But yeah, I don't know what it would look like to have Dallas in the Stanley Cup final again, because they'd have a legitimate shot against almost any combination of these teams, as flawed of hockey team as they are. And they are flawed. But
it is 2020. So you've got that going for you.
Does this mean, Dave, that I could actually have a high definition championship?
It's quite possible, Carlos. It's quite possible.
I want you to know that I'm resisting the urge to click the button.
I could have. I was waiting for it.
No. I'm not jinxing it with that, Dave. I'm not doing it. But I want you to know I thought about it. I really, very hard. I thought about it very hard. No, I'm going to resist, but if they get there, they've got more than a puncher's chance.
Yeah.
Against any combination out of the East, which would blow my mind. I'll happily add another banner. I have no issue doing it. Let's go. Let's do it. I'd love a high definition. I'd love a high definition championship in here. It'd be great, But I will say, in the shock of shocks, the Jays are in the playoffs too.
I know.
I don't know what to believe in anymore, Dave.
Believe in Radulov, Carlos.
I like that. That's where you ended up going. Believe in Radulov. I thought I was going to believe in Oleksiak.
Yeah,
Yeah, apparently he's my boy. But so is Radulov. I got to have my token Russian.
It wouldn't be hockey without him.
Jamie Benn has got to keep. The goal was good. But I need consistency. I need a little more. But it's a start. The Conn Smythe dream lives. It lives, but I need more.
Yeah.
I need that one dominant performance. I need him to take over a game. I need him
games, if you will.
Yeah, it's I need him to clock. I need to basically pick a fight with somebody on Vegas and destroy end their lives. I need him to knock somebody through the boards. Just do it, and then score a couple of goals, and then fight someone. Fight someone in the stands, but there are no fans. But there's a camera guy. Fight him. I don't care. Just fight somebody.
Do it.
It's a Gordie Howe hat trick ish.
So yeah, no, we'll see what happens, man. But they've got a decent shot at it.
Oh, they're still in it, so I can't complain. I can't argue. You know what? Can I segue this into something kind of random?
Of course you can. We are the Unnecessary Nonsense Podcast.
I saw something yesterday that was interesting. I will send you the link to the article. But TSN did a little article that talked about a very little known thing. Apparently, somebody made a revelation or discussed the possibility that they believe that the Montreal Canadiens general manager in the 1970s, his name escapes me. He was a guy involved with a lot of their Stanley Cup championship teams in the front office. Again, the name escapes me, but he was the guy who was involved in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. He had a lot of Stanley Cup rings.
Yeah.
apparently he had struck a deal that was kind of an obscure deal at the time with the Colorado Rockies at the
Mhm.
time in the 70s, like 1976 or so. But he had a deal in place that he had completed that got them the first round draft pick, the first overall pick in the 1980 or 1979 draft.
Okay.
And the guy was theorizing. Now, the problem is nobody knows exactly what he was thinking or what he was trying to do. Obviously, he stockpiled a pick, like a high pick, first overall pick. But the guy actually believes that the guy was the same guy who secured a deal that got him Guy Lafleur. He was thinking that he was trying to do the same kind of thing because he suspected that Wayne Gretzky would be available if he had been up for the draft.
Ooh.
So he actually thinks that a couple of years in advance, he cherry picked the pick that had the NHL done the thing where they would have put him in the draft. He would have been available as the number one overall pick that year, and Montreal had that pick.
Wow. That's
so they
pretty cool.
theorize that it's actually there is an alternate universe where Wayne Gretzky was drafted first overall by the Montreal Canadiens.
I love that.
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting. It's a thing we'll never know. But it is interesting that the circumstances fell in such a way where if he had been eligible, he would have been the obvious choice. And Montreal had that pick.
Yeah.
And the guy had laid the groundwork a couple of years beforehand by getting his hand on that pick, but nobody knows why. But they threw out this theory as kind of like, wouldn't it be interesting if he thought he was doing some Tom Dundon 4D chess shit, thinking like way ahead here. He goes, I'm going to have this pick just in case.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So it's like, Now imagine though, in the same article, they speculate a little bit. Now imagine though, and they talked to Wayne Gretzky about it. And he goes, that would have been really interesting. He just said it flat out. That would have been really interesting because he's like, it would have been kind of cool to play in the Forum for the team. But now think of the late 1970s Montreal Canadiens. They were done their dynasty, but that isn't to say they couldn't have squeezed a little bit extra with Wayne Gretzky in the lineup.
No, for sure. I mean, they did win in was 86, right? They won against Calgary.
Yeah.
So, they did get the 180s championship, but there could have been a couple more in there potentially.
Yeah. But like I said, think about it though. If he had been there in the late 70s, early 80s, that team could have stayed competitive, potentially been in position to win another cup or two. By the time you get to 86, you get Patrick Roy. Never heard of the guy. Mm-hmm. And then he's on that team with Gretzky.
Yeah, and then it would have been instead of playing Gretzky in 94, they might have had Gretzky. Who knows?
It's an interesting what if. It's an interesting thought experiment. It's an interesting thought experiment. I thought you'd enjoy that. It's an interesting little thought experiment that is like somebody mentioned. I saw the article randomly and I was like, Wayne Gretzky could have been a Montreal Canadian. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Interesting. But there you go. There's an alternate reality out there, Dave. Seek it out. Seek out the alternate reality.
I will. I will.
Yeah. But that was kind of interesting. I thought at least that was worth a quick discussion for a couple of minutes. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, man.
Yep. All right, so let's finish off with this because I do have anything else we want to add there?
You don't want to talk about how Pascal Siakam cost the Raptors the second round?
Did he? I didn't watch the game, so I don't know.
Dude, no. So here's the thing.
Okay, explain it to me while I'm just checking.
So my thing was, I watched the game, most of the game, despite my reservations that I had, because I knew I was going to get up early today to go golfing. And I was like, do I want to watch this game? Because I'm not convinced they're going to win, but it's game 7. They could win, yada, yada. So I was like, all right, I'm going to watch the game. I was watching it. Raptors were up at the end of the first. I'm like, I like where this is going. And then the second quarter happened and the turnover fest began.
They had a lot of turnovers. I did see that. It wasn't like 31.
No, they had 18 turnovers. Boston scored 31 points off Raptor turnover.
Okay. I saw 31, so I wasn't sure. Okay.
Right? So for the most part, the defense in the whole series was good. Pascal Siakam played fairly decent defense.
And even with all those turnovers and points, by the way, it was only a 5-point game.
Correct.
Which is unfortunate. That's problematic.
Well, but the thing is, it was a win, for whatever anyone's going to say. Like, Boston was the better team in the series, no doubt. But the Raptors could have won if they hadn't committed 18 turnovers. And the thing that caused me to turn the game off in the fourth quarter and go to bed before the game was over, because I was like, I know where this is going, was Siakam turnover. But this guy was missing, he was an all-star this year, right? He played in the all-star game. And he was missing layups in this series, right? Repeatedly. It's not, everybody misses, all the best players miss a layup every now and again. It happens. right? It's very rare, but it does happen. But he was
Mhm.
missing them with regularity, right?
Yeah. It could have been that it could have been, and I'm theorizing. Like I said, I didn't watch the series. I didn't get a sense of like how they were feeling or how they were doing. I would say there's a real possibility. Remember, there's a big difference between being a key contributor to a championship team when you've got another guy who's considered the star and you
Absolutely.
get room to do your thing, as opposed to being the guy who was the all-star for the year. You're kind of the breakout guy. It's kind of what happened to Chris Bosh. It's kind of what happened to Camby. What's his name?
Marcus Camby.
Yeah, Marcus Camby, Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady. A lot of these guys, even Damian Stoudemire in the early days, these were guys that were like seen as the star guy when maybe the cast wasn't there with the strength. This Raptors team was feisty. I give them a lot of credit for being able to fight to a certain degree and hanging in there against superior competition.
They have, the supporting cast was there.
Yeah.
The problem was, right, it's like, what do you do when your best player, your star player, isn't playing well at all, right?
But I think that's
something
the
today.
point I'm trying to make. But Dave, that was actually the point I was trying to make. Although he's been slotted as the star, remember, he was never considered to be a star until he had that breakout performance last year. He elevated himself to that, and obviously he played at an all-star level this year. But the regular season is one beast.
Absolutely.
And then the playoffs is a different beast. And when it's all on you, and now you are the guy, the expectations are on you.
No, for sure. But the problem was it didn't have to all be on him, right? The other guys had to step up enough to try and win the games they did win, because at no point in this series was Pascal Siakam the guy, right? I mean, there were other moments where you could fault other people, but my take on the series is turnovers cost them game 7. Siakam cost them the series. So it's unfortunate. And now it'll be interesting to see, because we're in a situation now with a couple guys heading to free agency. Is what direction does the team want to go? Do you want to kind of bring guys back and go for it, or do you join those teams, or do you pull New York and do nothing, hoping that the free agent of next year, Giannis, is going to sign with you, right? And just so you know, I just want to put this out there, that hasn't worked out for New York very well. Just putting it out there.
So Dave, I don't think you need to worry. Giannis will be in Toronto next year.
Well, yes, he will. Whether he's on the team, he's not going to be on.
That's why I left it vague, Dave. Shut up. That's why I left it vague. My statement was correct. No matter what happens, Dave. My statement
provided they're playing matches in all arenas. Yes, Giannis will be in Toronto next year.
Can we just leave it at that, Dave? I was correct. Like,
sure,
leave it be.
I just want you to know he doesn't hit free agency until 2021.
No, I get it. But here's the thing. Like, I know he said he doesn't want to force a trade or whatever, but it's like, if he doesn't want, the one statement is the most accurate one. If he doesn't want to take the Supermax, it's not like they can offer him more money than the Supermax. Correct. And they're going to offer him the Supermax. So it's like a simple thing. Like, do you believe in the program? Do you want us to try to get you some people to help you? Do you believe in our ability to do that in Milwaukee? Yes or no?
And you know what? I think it's quite possible they could add a couple pieces to do that next year, right? For next season, because I think who knows when it's going to start, but it's quite possible that they could do that, and Milwaukee could get over the hump. We'll see.
Well, there's a lot of hump to get over, because right now the problem that they have is that in Giannis they've got. And again, I'm not proclaiming to be a basketball expert, but it doesn't take a basketball expert to figure out that he has a flaw in his game, and he's been exploited in the playoffs multiple years now. Like, everybody knows what the playbook is in the playoffs. Here's what you do. Force him to try to shoot jump shots. At the moment, he can't. Unless he develops a jump shot, it's not going to work. Because then you can just isolate the guy and force you in a position you're not comfortable in. Full stop. And again, it's not like there are no other superstars in the game with a weakness. Even guys who win. LeBron James is pretty good at winning, but he's lost more NBA finals than he's won. But he's also played against truly great teams, because you're playing in the finals. But he has a weakness in his game too. His free throws in the late game are not great. He'll have moments where he'll struggle to make certain plays. He'll make a great pass, but then he won't take it upon himself to attack. His mentality is not full-fledged attack.
Yeah.
So it's so his thing is that physical talent-wise, he's one of the most dominant guys who have ever been out there. Physically talented in terms of dominance and all that good stuff. but he's never had the mentality to flip the switch and attack.
Right.
Because if he had that attack gene in him, then he would have like 8 championship rings or 9 championship rings, and it would just be done. The debate would be over. The conversation would be over. It'd be like, Michael Jordan, who?
Yeah.
We're all wearing Air LeBrons. Like, why are we even talking about this other jabroni? But he doesn't have that attack mentality. But he's a great player. And he's still like an elite level player, and he can still figure out how to make pieces around and move to work. So he's got as good a chance as anybody.
And it's quite possible he adds another championship this year.
Yeah. And if he does, that will make the debate more interesting. And then maybe he's got another year or two at kind of a high level where if he finds a 5th ring, again, the debate gets a little more interesting, because it's like, look at how many NBA finals he got to. Because I think if he gets to the finals this year, it's double digits.
Quite possibly.
Yeah, I believe this would be his 10th NBA finals.
Because he did what? Three with Miami? 3 with Miami, and you think he's done 6 with Cleveland?
No, not 6 with Cleveland, but he was in 3 with Miami.
Right. And he's the only other team he's been with is Cleveland.
He did 1 early in his career. He did
let's ask the Google here.
Yeah, check with that. I'm pretty sure he's 3-6 in the finals. I believe that's correct. I think he's 3-6 now. Because he dominated the East for years.
Yes, he did.
Because that was the whole deal. He got to so many consecutive NBA finals. I feel like it was 8 consecutive, something crazy like that.
Anyway, let's talk about something else, and maybe we can come back to this. I'll just throw it in there. You can get to your last point that you would like to get to.
All right, let's do this. We'll finish off with this. We'll talk about one of my other favorite topics. Let's talk about your hero and mine, Juan Soto.
Yes, Juan Soto.
Yes, and he's raking, by the way. Like, he's up to I think he was up to 360.
He's been in 8. He's been in 8. 5 with Cleveland, 3 with Miami.
Okay, so that's still 9. That's pretty good. It's pretty solid. So that'd be pretty decent. So anyway, this is a Juan Soto card that I won. You'll notice the price is not absurd compared to a lot of things. This is
I like that card. So
it's a nice looking card.
This is a 2020 Prism Numbers Rare Juan Soto. So the cool thing with this, it's got Juan Soto. He's batting, right in his batting stance, but it's got average. So it's got numbers in the background. It's got 34, got .401, 110. It looks like game 1.
So 34 is home runs.
Okay.
110, I believe, was his RBI total last year. 153, I believe, is the number of games, and 282 is the average.
Right, and then what's 4 ones with the
on base percentage?
Yeah.
Yes.
So there you go. Nice card, and it's got like a gold, sort of immediately behind Juan Soto is sort of reddish, and then immediately behind that it's kind of gold. I like it. It's a nice card.
It's numbered to 10.
Nice.
Yeah. So this is the gold version of this insert. It's numbered to 10 copies. $47 for a Soto out of 10. I think that's solid.
I agree, considering where the prices are today.
Yeah. And the reason for it is just because this is an unlicensed card, so it's not as popular. And I won that in an auction straight up. So that wasn't an auction. I had the high bid. So that is going to be my latest acquisition when it comes in. It goes along with my other gold card. So nice. I got this one also from Select.
So another Juan Soto, basically, again, the batting stance.
Yep. And this one is the Sensations. This one's also out of 10. So I'm picking up some of these out of 10 inserts from Select. Love them. They look great.
They do. They're nice cards. Audience, if you would like to, Google them.
Yes. But I will say to you that, from like my little mini collection I'm putting together, I absolutely love, there's some fun. It's fun putting together a collection of a player you like. And I was looking through some of my boxes and I found that I knew I had done it. I opened some boxes of Topps in 2018, the Juan Soto rookie year. Now, Juan Soto was in the Topps update. He wasn't in the regular Topps, but I did open from that year. I found a Rafael Devers rookie card. That was kind of cool. I found a couple other rookie cards, but I also found this one.
That is Walker Buehler.
Walker Buehler. I was like, that's all right.
Nice.
I got a kick out of it. So, because you're too cheap to buy your own, as usual. See, when you talk about the $320, I was resisting the urge to chuckle. I mean, dude, it could have been $3.20, and it would be like, it's kind of expensive. $3.
No, at this rate, I would have said $3.20. The shipping would have been expensive, but the $3.20 would have been fine.
Great, fantastic. Good to know, Dave. Good to know. One other thing I'll mention, and we'll talk about it hopefully next week. I did get a couple more Project 2020 cards, but still not the ones we're waiting for. So the National Nightmare continues.
Oh my goodness.
It's absurd. We're in September. The last of these I ordered like at the end of June. We're in September.
Nuts.
Yeah, so I would have included that at the beginning of it, but I thought about it right at the end. I was like, oh yeah. Still no. Because it's the Jackie Robinson and the Fucci. And at this point, I don't remember what the Fucci was. I know there was a Fucci, but I don't know what it was.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, so when it comes,
we can always go back and listen to the podcast to try and find it.
Yeah, but it's like, when it comes, I'll know. Like, I'll see it, I'll be like, yes. Because there'll be two of them, so I'll know. But I did get the Cyclops Mike Trout.
Nice.
That was kind of cool. It looks pretty decent. And I got the Jacob Rochester Ted Williams. Pretty neat cards. I was like, not bad. It took like 3 months to get here, but pretty neat cards. Eventually. But the Jackie Robinson one, I was like, dudes, when are you going to get me the freaking Jackie Robinson? Like, what the heck?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, we'll have more updates and stuff. We'll have some fun. It'll be the usual. We'll talk about a little bit of sports. We'll see if Dallas is still in it. If they're still in it, I'll be, preparing the parade. It'll be socially distanced. So I'm going to be doing my section of the parade from here.
I like it.
Yeah. So, I'll get like the foam finger. We're number one. When we enjoy Jamie Benn winning the Conn Smythe would be too simple, but I will enjoy the Conn Smythe presentation for Alexander. This is my Russian Radulov.
I like it.
Love it. So that's it for myself and Dave. I feel this was irreverent enough, and we'll catch you all on the next episode of the Unnecessary Nonsense Podcast.